Welcome back to Sauga Sports, presented by the Mississauga Sports Council. Adam Dunphy alongside Linda Pinizzato, and now very pleased to be joined by Andrea Dolic of the Mississauga Newnorth National Rhythmic Gymnastics Club. That's a bit of a mouthful, Andrea. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Andrea, your rhythmic gymnastics career has now transitioned to the coaching ranks, but how did you first get involved with gymnastics?
Well, my mom is the head coach of Mississauga Newnorth, so I've always been at the gym and with the girls, and it just kind of started. And I started competing, and I really liked it, and it went from there.
How old were you when you first got involved?
I first got involved when I was around 5 or 6, and then I started competing when I was 7.
Now, for some people like me, I'm a bit of a noob, we'll say, when it comes to gymnastics. So there are two big, I guess, differentials. There's rhythmic, and then there's artistic.
Yes.
Now, does your club have one for each discipline, or is it specifically on rhythmic?
Specifically rhythmic.
So what was it that drew you to that side of things?
I don't know. I always liked dance, and I liked the little handheld apparatuses that rhythmic gymnasts use. And I never really was one for tumbling and heights and things like that, so rhythmics was just the right choice.
So what kind of things do you do in rhythmic gymnastics?
Rhythmic gymnasts, they use one of 5 apparatuses. So they use either ropes, ball, hoop, clubs, or ribbon, and they do routines that are 1:30. And in these routines, they are scored on their jumps, their balances, their turns, and all the difficult apparatus maneuvers they do, such as large throws and rolls with the ball or the hoop, and flips with clubs and things like that.
Speaking of the ball activities, we've got a special demonstration by one of your athletes. This is Natalie Garcia, and she's a member of the junior national team, and she's going to show us a ball routine. So, Natalie, go ahead, and Andrea, give us the rundown. What's happening here?
So she's doing a back balance right now, and some rolls with the ball, and this is also a side balance. And these are all things that in the routine would be marked by the judges. Depending on how well the gymnasts do, they get a certain score.
What would the judges be looking for in this routine?
They would look to see how long she holds her balances and how many rotations she does in her turns. And also the apparatus has to always be swiftly moving and engaged with the body. And it has to continuously be active with the gymnast. And
then you see just the flexibility is nothing
incredible.
Short of amazing. And earlier she was also showing us that she's not a bad basketball player either. She can spin that thing on her finger.
Yep.
It's pretty impressive. Oh, I think she's going to show it off.
Yeah,
for
we
us.
have to see that. That was really cool.
We got to see the spin trick there, Natalie. There you go.
That's amazing.
Now, in a competition, you will have medals handed out in the individual skills and then an overall. Is that right?
Yeah. So gymnasts get awarded per event. So they get awarded for their rope routine, their hoop routine, their ball routine, and then their clubs routine, and then they get a cumulative score out of all those. That's an overall.
So when you're doing that, is there a specific event you will focus on to try and win in that, or is it a focus on all the individual events?
It's both, because the individual events, they get added up, so the all-around is really what counts. But then again, the individual events, you can also become a champion for that. So if you win in Canadians and ball, then you're also the Canadian ball champion. So both count.
So which individual event did you like the best?
I like the ball.
Is that what one? Oh, so you can spin the ball too then?
Yeah.
Yes, excellent. Natalie, you have a fantastic instructor.
And that's right, you are teaching and instructing now. What made you make the move to that side of things?
I'm not sure. I did have a back injury a couple of years ago, and I stopped doing gymnastics. And as I stopped doing gymnastics, I started helping at the club, coaching the younger girls, and I really liked it. And it just, like, the transition was really smooth. I just continued coaching, and like I'm still doing lots of things, demonstrating, just not competing anymore.
So how
That's
long have
pretty
you been
amazing.
coaching for now?
Yeah.
2-3 years now.
Now, I think Natalie's also going to show us the ribbon routine. So we're going to let her get
Mm-hmm.
set with that. And
Tell us
see
a little bit
another
about the
example of that.
costume, because I'm sure everybody would want to know about the costume. Sorry, that's a female question.
no, I'm curious too, but I figured
Yeah.
you might want to ask it.
That's right.
The costumes, they have also specific requirements in the code of points. They have to be a certain length, and there are certain rules regarding them. But the gymnasts have to have one for each apparatus they do. So for each event, they need to have a different costume.
Really?
So you need 5 different costumes.
Wow. Holy.
And each one, depending on how many crystals and what materials are used to make them, they cost around $1,000 or up.
Wow.
Isn't that something? I know. I never knew that.
Well, Natalie's got the ribbon,
Here
so
we go.
We'll take a look at this, and Andrea, give us the play-by-play here.
Yep, so she's doing some spirals right now with ribbon and some snakes.
Is that ever the coolest?
Yeah, this is usually the apparatus that most people know when you mention rhythmic gymnastics. They're like, oh, it's the dance with the ribbon.
Now, if you're a judge in this event, what is it you're looking for, and what are you giving high marks for?
The shape of the ribbon has to be consistent. So if she's doing spirals, like circles like she's doing right now, or
right.
snakes, the shape has to be continuous, and it has to look the same all the time.
So how long is a performance with, like a natural performance with the ribbon, lengthwise?
Yeah, it's 1:30.
Really?
Yeah.
So there's the spiral, and then there's the snake, and you want to stay
Yes.
consistent throughout your routine. Is that tough? Do you sometimes want to move and do the other?
It is tough, especially because all the movements come from the wrist, and for 1:30
For sure.
seconds, the ribbon has to be off the floor and off of you and moving, so there's no break with this apparatus.
So by the time
Just
you're at
have to
about a
keep
minute,
going.
you're digging
Yep.
pretty deep.
Well, we're going to have more with Andrea and Natalie
incredible.
right after the break. Stay tuned. You're watching Sauga Sports on Rogers TV. Well, welcome back to Sauga Sports, presented by the Mississauga Sports Council. Adam Dunphy alongside Linda Pinizzato and our guest, Andrea Dolic. And Andrea is a member of the Mississauga Newnorth National Rhythmic Gymnastics Club. We're going to call it New North. I believe that's the short version of it, if you'll forgive me for that. And quite an accomplished gymnast yourself. You're coaching now, but back in 2010, you were a member of the Canadian National Group Champions. What was that experience like?
It was definitely different because that was my first time as a gymnast in a group setting, and it was rewarding, and it was hard work, and it was very different, and I liked it.
Now, how exactly does a group setting work in rhythmic gymnastics?
Well, the group gymnasts, there are usually 5 of them in a routine, and they all have to train together and work to look the same. And the routine is very complicated and extremely fast moving, and it's actually 2 minutes and 30 seconds long.
So
So
you
an
have
extra
to,
minute.
yeah, you have to really synchronize on that.
Yeah. And it can be very complicated sometimes because you combine apparatuses. So we used ropes and ribbons, and if you're not careful and aware of your spatial apparatus awareness,
For sure.
Gets tangled, and it's difficult, but it's fun.
And you can't have one person doing
Yeah.
snake and the rest doing twirl, right?
No,
That'd be
so it
bad.
has to
See,
be
I'm learning.
That's right, you're doing well.
I think so. Thank you.
So
Now-
coordinating all that would not be easy. And especially too because you have different sizes of different athletes that
Yeah.
you're working with in the group situation.
Yeah.
What is
For
something
sure.
we were talking about during the break that you two of you touched on it before the break, just
Yes.
the expense involved in this sport. And you look at it, you think, okay, you've got a hoop, you've got a ribbon, you've got some other equipment, then you've got your outfit. But these are all very, very specialized items. And you mentioned an outfit can cost about $1,000, and you need 5 of them for a competition.
And Swarovski crystal.
So it's
Swarovski.
embedded into the outfit.
Yep. Yep. Our sport is very expensive. There's costume expenses, there's travel expenses, there's equipment expenses, training expenses, and in Canada, Rhythmic Gymnastics is not very well known, so it's very hard for gymnasts to get funding for a lot of these expenses, and it can be a lot.
Geez, and you hockey parents complain about the cost. That's nothing compared to
I'm
rhythmic
really
gymnastics.
taken back on these costs, so we do need to help people, I guess, that are in gymnastics to sponsor.
Well, we are joined by
Yes.
another rhythmic gymnast, and that is Natalie Garcia, who is going to give us a little demonstration of the hoop event, I believe this is. So we'll throw it over to Natalie.
Yep, Natalie is the 2015 Canadian Novice Champion, and she is also the 2016 Canadian Junior Silver Medalist, and she's currently preparing for the Pan American Junior 2016 Championships in Mexico in November this year, and she's also Canada's hope for the 2018 Youth Olympics in Buenos Aires and the 2020 Games in Tokyo.
Wow, that is fantastic. Well, on behalf of the Mississauga Sports Council and Mississauga Sports, we wish you so much love and success.
Now that's a special hula hoop, right?
Yeah, these are especially made for rhythmic gymnastics. You can't just buy them anywhere.
Well, how does it differ from your normal plastic hula hoop you would have used in gym class?
It's definitely heavier than the normal hula hoop that you can buy in the store, and it needs tape over it, and there are specific weight requirements and size requirements for each level in the sport.
Is it actually made out of metal?
No, it's plastic.
It is plastic, okay. Just the shine on it was throwing me.
What kind of training regimen does an elite rhythmic gymnast go through?
Well, Natalie actually trains 24 hours a week, and there's usually no break throughout the year because there are competitions in the summer, in the winter, in the fall, and the spring, so it's ongoing all the time.
And we have one more example she's going to show us. Now, I'm not exactly sure what this one is, so Andrea, you'll have to explain.
Yep, this is Natalie with clubs. And clubs, not lots of people know about these in rhythmic gymnastics. We do flips with them and mills, and these are actually very fun to learn because they are like batons in a way. You can do many cool things with them.
And you have to be totally in shape, and you have to eat healthy, no doubt.
Of course.
So we need to throw a plug out there for the, absolutely, the Mississauga Central Lions Farmers Market, where you can find a lot of healthy food.
And they'll be a part of Sports Week coming up later this
Yes.
month. Now, we've seen 4 of the different displays in rhythmic gymnastics. What is the 5th one?
Rope.
Rope. Now, what do you
Rope.
do in a rope activity?
You do skipping, you do releases, throws. It's lighter than the other apparatuses, so it's easier to throw it high up in the air and do acrobatics underneath.
And actually, Natalie's got her rope, so let's go 5 for 5 then. The flexibility you need for all of these different events
it's
is
unreal,
absolutely
isn't it?
amazing. And you can see her Swarovski crystal suit. So now, what makes a good rope routine, Andrea?
Well, just like the other apparatuses, the rope has to constantly be moving, and the gymnasts are judged on the shape of the rope in the different releases and the skippings that they do. So this is Natalie doing a release right now.
And what makes Natalie such a good rhythmic gymnast?
It's her coordination and her ability to sense the apparatus, and she's also very naturally talented in the flexibility department, and her body type also. It's just she's born for the sport, and she's been doing amazing things, and she's only been doing gymnastics really for 4 or 5 years, so it's huge achievements for her.
I know I was talking to her mom earlier, and she mentioned that she had started when she was like 8 years old, and now she's 13, and just absolutely phenomenal, the improvements
And already
to get
on the
to where
Olympic
she's
radar.
gotten to.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's such an honor.
So Natalie Garcia, remember that name. We'll hopefully
Yes.
see her come Tokyo 2020. Natalie, thank you for your time. And Andrea, thank you for explaining all the intricacies of this very, very technical sport.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back. You're watching Sauga Sports on Rogers TV.